And last week, what President Obama said, he's going to give the okay to start doing off-draw oiling again. Okay? Everything is political. Everything is connected. Stop giving your enemy the benefit of the doubt. And one thing we got to agree to disagree on is this. Whatever your relationship with Europeans is your business. But when it comes to the business of organizing African people, what we do is none of their damn business. Some of y'all ain't realized that yet. You're the only people who will tell your intimate business to other people. Okay? Take a Korean businessman and another Korean businessman. They may respect each other as Koreans, but when it comes to selling them sneakers to your kids, they're not going to tell where he getting his price from and where he getting his price from. Black folks got to do the same thing. We don't believe in racial hatred. That's not who we are. But I don't have to be an integrated fool not to believe in racial hatred. And some of y'all, your religious views have clouded your mind so much that you can't even come to an all-black meeting without feeling like you're sinning against God. And I told you to tell me when it's 15 minutes left. Anyway, don't be hitting me in the back, Tyson. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. And I'm going to wrap it up with this. I'm a Pan-Africanist. I come in the tradition of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, greatest black leader of the 20th century, only black leader to ever organize 15 million Africans. He organized more Africans than every organization you can think of put together since the end of slavery. Not only did he do that, he gave us the red, black, and green flag. He laid down a strategic map work that led to the freedom of all of the African world. Kwame Nkrumah, who led Ghana to independence in 1957, and he has a black star on that flag, said that if every book he read, including the Communist Manifesto and Du Bois's work, and remember Du Bois lived his last years in Ghana, he said the most significant and impactful book that he ever read was The Philosophy and Opinions of the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. Y'all got any copies in there? Handle that. Now, Garveyism, I'm picking with you. Garveyism is 7 quick steps. Number 1, your God better look like you if he has an image. If he ain't got an image, so be it. But you know what I find? A lot of us think our God don't have an image, but he does. Like a lot of our grandmoms. God ain't got no color, but when you go in his house, you still see, who painted the Last Supper? Michelangelo's uncle up in there. Because you do know that the Last Supper was his uncle and 12 crooks that he got from the prison. If you don't believe me, read his history. That's right. That painting on your wall is nothing but inmates from the local jail. That's like going down to Pick and CFC, taking a mole shot and hanging it up on your kitchen wall. Okay? So tell grandmama that. Okay? All right? But number 1, your God, if you're going to have one, better look like you. And believe it or not, that didn't even start with Marcus Garvey. You know who started that first? A black man by the name of Bishop Henry McNeill Turner. He was one of the grandfathers of Pan-Africanism. He was the first black chaplain general in the U.S. Army, and he was the one who was elected to the, I think it was South Carolina, North Carolina legislator, and he called the red, white, and blue flag a dirty rag in front of the white Congress people before slavery ended. Bishop Henry McNeill Turner. So your God better look like you. Number 2, African identity. Identify with who you are. I know there's a lot of different theories over there on the word Africa, but I'm going to take my knowledge from the greatest African scholar warriors, being Sheikh Anajoke, Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Ben, and others. The word Afra-Ka was in existence in Africa before the white man came there. And you know what it means? It means birth of man. So you got to identify with who you are. If you want to use other names, but don't let nobody tell you you can't call yourself an African. I don't give a damn who they are or what they believe. The next one is African identity. You must have race pride. There's nothing wrong with being proud to be black. You're proud to be Christian, you're proud to be Muslim, you're proud to be Hebrew, you're proud to be this, you're proud to be that. And there's nothing wrong with your religious pride, but you must also have race pride as well. Raise your child with that. Independent African political power, independent African economic power, unity, and the last thing is that the nationhood must be based in Africa. All of you don't need to go back, because some of you are going to cause more problems than you solve. But you must have a centralized nation base, and it must be the richest the richest continent on the face of the earth. It must be Mother Africa. That's where the international government must be based, although we can live anywhere we want on the face of the earth. And believe it or not, if you don't decide to get up and work with Africa or relocate or do something, sooner or later, you're going to be forced to do it anyway. Because what happened in Katrina, they're going to keep on doing that. They're going to not stop. There is no stopping until the black man is gone. And I'm going to leave you with this. Many of us think that they just want to get rid of the grassroots blacks, the strugglers, the freedom fighters. Many of us think that people like Tiger Woods and Barack Obama will always be safe. That's not true. Do you know what eugenics is? Eugenics means to exterminate the gene that produces the people. So that means that they must exterminate everybody. So the goal is not to keep a few here and a few there. The goal is to get rid of every last American-born African. Only then can white supremacy be completed. But guess what? The gift and the curse is one and the same. If black people in America stand up, black people all over the world stand up. Everybody's waiting on us to wake the hell up and do what we need to do. And they will follow suit, just like they follow us in the NBA, just like they follow you to get your hair permed. They will follow you to revolution. Join an organization if you're not in one, but make sure it's a serious organization, not with a leader who just wants to pimp the masses. It must be a serious organization. But you join one. If you can't find one, then you start one. A non-religious one. Church plus something else. Because some of y'all said, I already belong to the church. No. The church plus one. And I'm going to leave you with a quote. Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, who said, without confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. Without confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you have started. Frederick Douglass, an ancestor of mine, who said that in so many words, I'm going to paraphrase the quote because it's leaving me right now. Black folks want things easily done, but they don't want to put forth the sacrifice and the struggle that's necessary to do it. Our problem is we want progress, but we don't want to lose no money. We want progress, but we don't want to lose our jobs. We want progress, but we don't want to lose our life. Guess what? Especially for Christian folk, I know you know this well. There can be no redemption without bloodshed. So in order for us to get where we need to be, some of us are going to have to be willing to die. Thank you very much.
I'm going to give him a couple minutes to, going to give him a few minutes to calm down, but I'm not going to take it off because he says so many things. We're just going to let you ask him a few questions right now before Professor Griff comes up here and makes you forget everything that he just said, because everything that he just said was very important. So if you have any questions for the brother now, especially pertaining to your kids in education, ask you now, please.
Yes, sir.
What's your outlook on music, like as far as music, not in just the hip hop community, but in music in a whole?
I think music can be a very revolutionary force. It always has been. When you look at any great revolutionary movement, there was music to go with it, whether it was an African movement or a non-African movement. But just like music can wake you up, music can also put you to sleep. In fact, when you come into a community, if you don't know the mental state of the people, all you have to listen to is the popular tunes that they play. So if you come into the black community today and listen to our most popular music, it is self-denigrating, it is self-respecting, and it is consciousness-lowering. You follow me? At the same time, if you listen to some of our most popular music in the 60s, although you still had some of that, okay, some of the more popular tunes were stuff that was a little bit more liberating. And the responsibility of the black artists is, if they're going to engage in the foolishness, you must also put some cuts out there, okay, that are very, very powerful and spiritually uplifting. They're not doing that. Now, don't get me wrong, there was black on black crime before gangster rap, but gangster rap glamorized it. And since the presence of gangster rap, the degree of black on black violence has climbed. So for any rapper to stand up here and say that my music does not impact the black on black violence, that's a psychological lie. Music, and there's been studies to show that music can actually determine behavior, not to the extent that I go out and kill somebody, I can blame the rapper. I'm not talking about that. But there is an influential aspect to the music. In fact, in ancient Africa, they say that there is a part of your spine, you understand, that corresponds to every sound of music. And that in Africa, certain music was played to help your spirit come from your belly and go up to your consciousness. You see? So it's a very liberating force. The problem is black music is totally owned by Europeans. That's why when people say hip-hop culture is progressive, culture is transforming, and most of all, you must own your own culture. Black people don't own rap music. You understand? Even the big-time people who we like to worship, they don't even own their own stuff. Okay? Universal Records, Interscope, don't know black people sitting on those board of directors. Nobody. You understand? But the people on TV are making you think that they own something. They own a little piece of something. But the bulk of the music that they make is going to somebody else. Music is America's second leading export industry. Did you know that? America makes more money off there's only one other product, and I forget what that was, that America makes more money off than music. Music is America's second leading import industry. If we control just what we made, we'd be trillionaires by now. You follow me? But we got to go back to the way black musicians used to operate, which was sell their own product. See, if you're in music, even if you're in publishing, you got to make a decision. I want to get famous and keep a little bit of what I make, or I don't get famous and keep everything of what I make. Do y'all understand? It is the central dilemma of every black person in business. If I sign with a big distribution company, I can get real famous. But my amount of the profits is going to be low. But if I continue to sell out my trunk, I won't be as famous, but I'm going to keep all the money. What do I prefer? I say don't be famous and keep all the money. We got to get back to ownership, because until you own, you don't control. And we got to make sure we influence our children to become owners of whatever industry they decide to pursue. If a child wants to be a doctor, you got to give us another black hospital, because we ain't had one. You understand? If a child wants to fly airplanes, you got to give us that black airline. Okay, if you want to be a lawyer, you got to own your own firm. We got to stop making our kids think it's comfortable to serve white people as long as you're making 6 figures. We are not after profit. This is where we mess up. Profit is not our goal. No. Power and control is. See, you don't have to be rich when you have power and control. Look at all the money black folks got. You understand? But you have no power. White man got power. He don't need the cash, because if I'm rich, excuse me, if I'm powerful, I don't need money. I can make you do what I want done anyway. Money is unnecessary. Money is for people without power. Right. We need the power and we need the wealth. We keep telling our kids that money is power. No, wealth is power. We got to take the money and translate it into business, real estate, property, investments. Always make the joke. Give me an Oriental kid and a black kid. I'm going to get an Oriental kid $1 million, I'm going to get a black kid $1 million, and I'm going to come back 10 years later. The Oriental kid will probably have tripled that money. He will own businesses, international conglomerates. You know what? That black kid will have about 4 or 5 trucks, some old rusty-ass rims on them, a whole bunch of old played-out sweatsuits, old chains and sneakers. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You see that? All we want to do is spend money. See, one thing in this, and I'm going to leave on this, well, unless there's another question. The goal of slavery was to make the slave a willing accomplice in its own extermination. The goal of slavery is to make the slave a willing accomplice in his own extermination. If I can get you to play a role in your own extermination, I don't have to be in your neighborhood. If I can get you to play a role in your own extermination, I don't even have to be in a prison with you. I don't have to be in the corner store. I know what you are thinking. As Dr. Carter G. Woodson said, who was a Garveyite, he said what? With a slave, if you control a man's thinking, you ain't got to tell him to go to the back door. He'll go on his own. Right. It's the socialization. It's the conditioning. And if he goes back there, if it ain't no dog, brother, he'll knock one down and make one himself. It is the power of mind control. Slavery, post-traumatic slave disorder, is nothing but controlling a man's mind. And this is what I say to my revolutionary brothers. Some of them think they're revolutionary, but they're not. Okay? This is what I got to tell them. Before we can do anything else, we got to have a mental revolution first. Do y'all understand? Yeah. People want to go out there and fight with guns. People want to go out there and let's go build this. We can't. You want to know why? Because the 2 biggest enemies in the black community is what? Jealousy and envy. I don't give a damn how many books you read. Until we stop being jealous and envious of one another, we ain't going to get nowhere.